those Hope 6 funds will have some restrictions that will limit us on where we can go. Likewise, there may be other funding that come in from other sources that would either push the affordable units to a greater or lesser percentage. So the 60%, I don't know. We'll be happy to communicate what it is, but to an extent, some of that's not going to be us picking a number. It's going to be the circumstances of where the funds come from.
Okay, so those briefings are going to be important in terms of making sure that any other funds that might affect that, the community will need to know to what extent.
Absolutely, and I hope the community would be involved when this goes. I can tell you right now, going back 2 years ago, I saw some of the initial plans from Turner, and I'll tell you that they were not very good ones. They were ones that had new buildings, but they were laid out in such a way that they did not invite pedestrian traffic. They didn't invite interaction between people in the communities, all of those sorts of things. So now we've gone back in, again, we've got to get the funds to do it, but we're trying to make much more of what I would call a community that's pedestrian oriented, that dumps in so you have more playgrounds and play areas and those sorts of things.
Notwithstanding the fact that we're talking about choice still having to be approved, and
well, Hope 6 has to be approved first.
Right, the Hope 6 application. But I mean in terms of legislation, the choice program is still hasn't. It's not in place yet. But with what we're trying to do with Hope 6, a commitment from you in terms of those things that will help to strengthen the application, especially in how the $2.5 million attractive loan can be converted into all or part of it as a grant. What kind of commitments?
Well, the commitment that we made today is a very attractive loan. That's better than where we were. We made some, I think,
we got that. I'm talking about moving forward to making it more attractive.
What we're going to have to do is just work to see what we can get and how we can get it. Again, the challenge in a very simple way is trying to find the funds of the city. I can tell you right now that the city, the way it's structured, trying to do housing, there's not a good place to go for it. What we do for the most part is try to pull it out of operating funds. That is not a very good way to do it. What the better answer is going to be, and one that I'm advocating, and I think that there's good support for, but you're going to have to be involved, will be in the next bond program to set aside a reasonable number, clearly north of 20 million, probably closer to 50 million, that will be used as a capital base for housing, and housing of all kinds, not just what projects we're talking about here, but something that in theory would be regenerating, that would provide that working capital. That's going to be the answer. We don't have that tool today, and until we go forward with the next bond program, we're not going to be there. So we're trying to make it better, but I'll be real truthful with you, it's not easy.
Okay.
Well, I think we're trying to do a couple of things, and be much more aggressive in getting the land back out and getting available to the community. But I'd also tell you that one of the things that we've learned, and not only at the city, not only the community, but organizations like Habitat, is when you try to do them in one-off situations, e.g. take one lot, put it out there, build a house on it, you do not get a big bang for that. The better way to do it, and that's what we're trying to emphasize, is where you can take clusters of ideally 30 or 40 different lots in an area and create a community with that. That has a much bigger impact. So inherent in some of the work of Habitat Humanity, as well as some other organizations, that's what we're trying to do. We would like to get it and try to find those communities where we get in groups of them. That's actually the better place. Now, we've been reasonably successful in getting private funds. As an example, there's a neighborhood in West Dallas that they went out and got private funds, and they basically got a hold of about 43 different units there, and were able to create the neighborhood. So that, to an extent, is what we're trying to do. We would clearly like to open this up as much as possible, but here's one of the challenges you've got. A lot of the community organizations that are out there that do housing, they have the best part in the world, and we want to work with them. They do not have the capability of doing more than a couple of houses a year. We need to find ways that we can get 30 and 40 at a time done, so all of a sudden we create a different neighborhood. Because the problem that comes, we can take one house, but if all of a sudden that house is surrounded by 2 or 3 that are not what you want it to be, then all of a sudden, what's the incentive for somebody to come put investment around it? If you do 30 or 40, then all of a sudden you create an enclave, you invite additional investment to come in, you've kind of created the buffers that are needed. So that's the challenge. In terms of land bank, we made changes in that. We put it more into a trust now, so hopefully that will open it up, and I'd like to see more. The other piece that we're trying to do, so that you're aware of it, is try to grab more houses of ones that have been abandoned, that bad things have happened, that sort of thing. We have changed the ordinances in the city of Dallas so that literally now, if there is a house that we can prove from a legal standpoint is a nuisance in the neighborhood, we can go in and board it up and eventually lead to demolition, where then we've got a lot to be able to do something with. We have clearly, over the 2 years, been much more aggressive on that than we've ever been before. To give you a feel, the demolition docket at City Court has doubled in the space of a year and a half.